Welcome to the CSBP Fertilisers Grow Better podcast, sharing knowledge with growers on leading crop nutrition, sustainable agriculture and other issues impacting the agricultural industry.
G'day everyone, welcome to another episode of the CSBP Grow Better podcast. My name is Grey Johnston and I'm delighted to be joined by James B, Senior Agronomist from Elders down on the South Coast to talk about all things that are happening in his patch today. G'day James.
G'day Grey, how are you going?
Very well, thank you. Welcome to the show. Now, interested to hear about what's happening in your world and what's happening in the world of Elders, but as is our custom on the Grow Better podcast, when we get someone on the show for the first time, just please introduce yourself and tell us about what you've been up to.
Yeah, sure. James B. Originally grew up on South Coast, so over a couple of different roles, I've ended up back there, which is great. I enjoy the cool weather better than the other stuff. But yeah, I work agronomy with Elders and deal with a range of clients out of Albany. High rainfall pasture and cropping through to medium rainfall stuff with the guys a little bit further north and east. So it's a really interesting place, nice and diverse. You're never bored or wondering about what to do next. There's always something happening. And
we talk a lot about crop nutrition on this show, given our strong heritage in that at CSBP, and interested to maybe talk a bit about that today. But I guess the benefit of having you on and a strong partner in Elders is that Elders covers a whole broader range of ag inputs and ag advice as well. You're covering the full gamut in your role?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I had one friend call it feed and weed, but it's, crop and pests, so health, nutrition, through to bugs and diseases and the whole bit. So, and I mean, a significant part of weather forecasting as well, which we're kind of looking at the skies now and hoping that we get a little bit more rain in quite a few areas. So, yeah, it's quite a broad spectrum of things we look after and talk to guys, day to day about.
And you're based in Albany, and we mentioned the South Coast before. What's the sort of spectrum of your patch? What's the geographic extent?
So mainly work from Albany out to Jerramungup and up to Borden, in that deep south location. Got a lot of really good clients, and have a lot of fun working with them and hopefully helping them make good decisions.
Well, let's get stuck into those kind of themes. I guess the season for the Broadacre guys for 2023 is really shaping up as we record this. What are the sort of trends you're seeing as people are making decisions for this year?
So, we're probably characterised by a wet finish last year. So, guys, the harvest strung right out on the South Coast until mid to late January for a lot of guys. And so there was a very quick turnaround. Luckily, for my customers, they had a very dry summer up until it rained in March, and we got a pretty good germination. So they had to all their summer jobs they had to sort of compress into a shorter time frame than normal. So I don't think they feel like they've had a break, and they're into seeding. And there's a few guys that are just about tidied up seeding, and there's others that are still well underway and then got a little bit to go. So we had a pretty good start. We had a reasonable germination. So I think, and there was pretty widespread rain across the whole state. So that's great when, especially guys in the lower rainfall zones, get a good start and you get a weed germination before you put the crop in. It makes life a lot easier. We've been through the roller coaster of fertiliser prices in the last little while, and that's been a daily topic of conversation, but we're really happy that the price of nitrogen's come back to a more realistic level, and it's made budgets look much nicer than they did last year. And with a bit of other luck around commodity prices and everything, it'll tick along. But at the moment, and this is probably we're filming this a month before the podcast is going to come out. We're probably looking for a little bit more rain in a lot of areas. The moisture level has dropped a bit deeper into the profile, and we can some of the cereals we can dig it in and put it in quite deeper than the canola, but there's a few guys a little bit further north that are probably waiting for a rain to fully germinate the later sown canola crops. So that's, depending on how long that takes, we're going to have to sort of manage our decision matrix around what it looks like when they come up and all that type of thing. So A few bugs here and there. I mean, a few red-legged earth mites, and obviously we seem to always have some issues with snails on the south coast. Small conical snails are just a really fun pest. They're just about the perfect thing that they you can do whatever, but there's very few options apart from baiting them to really drop the numbers, and that's
You haven't been out yourself picking them up?
every time I find one, you squish it.
That's good. You're making your own small contribution.
But yeah, a lot of growers are they're cleaning them out at harvest time and smashing up. Snail rollers are a thing now, to break them up so that you can deliver your grain without snails in it. I mean, I don't know why people wouldn't want snails in their Wheaties, but it's apparently not something they like. So
we can well understand that. Look, James, you touched on a whole bunch of themes and a whole lot of different things going on there that I'd love to delve into. The first you mentioned was just that compression of the time to get the summer jobs done with the late harvest. I mean, have you seen any impact, people to liming or to sort of other activities that might normally happen in those summer months?
Well, as I remember talking to one of the guys, corporate guys, out a bit further at West River, and he said they finished harvest, and the day they finished, they go, right, it's only 10 weeks of seeding. So normally you've got maybe another month on top of that, but a lot of my high rainfall guys, they do a lot of soil amelioration work, and that's mainly around claying, sandy surface soils. So it's quite a time-consuming job. You're applying 250 odd plus tonnes of clay per hectare, and then smudging it, ploughing it in to fix the non-wetting, and it takes time. You can do maybe 10 to 15 hectares a day is pretty good going. So by the time you get that done and get it ploughed in, hopefully before it rains, because it's got to dry out and incorporate. So that's one thing, and let alone when shearing, a lot of mixed guys that I deal with, and shearing's been a particularly hard one. When one guy had 3 shearers supposed to turn up, 2 did, and then they quit 2 days later. But so it's been hard to find shearers to get those jobs done, and I know there's guys that are still shearing and seeding at the same time. So time management's is a massive thing, it's let alone the soil sampling. I mean, we obviously assist with a fair bit of soil sampling around the place and getting those jobs done, and then sitting down with your advisors and working out what you're actually going to do based on the results. And it's you're trying to compress a lot of stuff in a fairly short time frame.
And you talked about nitrogen pricing there, and having the conversation with your soil samples, sit down with the advisors, do that kind of planning. How what was your sense of how farm budgets were shaping up for the coming season, and what sort of decisions were people really fixated on, or what were the key kind of decision points that people were thinking about? Yeah,
well, we're probably averaging a slightly higher phosphate price this season, just with the way that it's gone with the world pricing and imports and exports and that type of thing. So last year we had a bit of carryover stock that averaged the price down a little bit, and this year we've locked into the higher price stuff. So that's one side, but the reduction in nitrogen pricing at this stage has buffered that quite nicely, and so we're probably a lot of my gross margin budgets. They're maybe $100 a hectare, $150 a hectare better than they were this time last year. So just really on that huge variable cost that nitrogen is, especially if you're trying to go for gold and push some high yields, and who doesn't want to try and grow a high yielding crop generally. So
we're very supportive of that type of behaviour at CSBP, and I'm keen to understand. I guess we don't talk a lot about other inputs on the podcast because we've got a strong focus on crop nutrition at CSBP, but keen to understand some of the other sort of new things you're seeing come through the industry, whether it's seed varieties or whether it's ag chem. Can you tell us a bit about what you guys are seeing coming through Elders?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, as agronomists, we deal with a lot of new seed varieties. So, I mean, hybrid canola seed, there's always a new variety or three coming out every year, and we sort of go through and trying to see if it's got a good fit with our guys, and obviously in a lot of cases yield is king. So if it works well for them, you get high yields, they retain those varieties. We're dealing with last year we had a big disease year in barley, so Planet Barley has been exited out of the industry fairly quickly in the high rainfall zone. It's a very high pressure environment, so there's been a transition to other varieties, and we're probably there's one or two that we're waiting on that are yet to be released that look like pretty good options.
That'll be for next season then.
But hopefully for next season,
Yep.
yeah. So there's that, and we're actually in a golden age of pre-emergent chemistry at the moment. So we've got 5 or 6 new products that it wasn't 8 or 10 years ago there wasn't anything much new on the horizon, but we're seeing the result of a lot of investment in new actives. So there's you roll them off the tongue: Martino Complete, Firaxor, Luxamax, Overwatch, Reflex, Terrador. There's a heap of not always new modes of action, but new active ingredients that are very diverse, and it's allowed us to be able to attack weeds really robustly in the last couple of years, and that's really helping us, because last year on the south coast we had a big weed blowout. It was very wet and a lot of waterlogging, a lot of reseeding and a lot of ryegrass. So the year before, so it's allowed us to really attack those higher weed populations and end up with some very clean crops. So it's been really good.
You mentioned you look at all the trial data and all these new products that you bring to market, and we have a big trials focus ourselves. Can you tell us about how you think about those trials and the kind of stuff you look at?
Yeah, the agronomy team, we continually, it's all about the data. We obviously need to be confident that what we're recommending is backed up with good science. We see a hell of a lot of products that come across our desk, and we sort of we kind of draft them out along the way, because some things are just not worth passing on to customers. It's you get people bring a product to you and say, so what trial work have you done? Oh, you haven't done any. Oh, you just say, apparently you've been told it works well, or so we really need a massive focus on and making sure that everything's backed up with good quality science, and it's basically one of the reasons we enjoy working with CSBP, because the trials team is out there going hard, and the volume of trials that are being done every year is really, really good, and it's also fairly I see it all the time where guys will go, right, I'm really interested, a farmer's really interested in this particular thing, go talk to the local area manager, and they say, oh, let's explore that, and looking at whether it's nitrogen rates or timings or different products, or whatever the case might be. Deal with a lot of soil acidification, and then the corresponding issues with tie-up of manganese, or whatever the case might be. There's so much more we need to unlock and learn, and soil science is there's a lot in it, because it's not that easy to do. So the more trial work and more data we can see, the better decisions we can make.
And one of the new products we've got in the range, Urea Sustain, might have particular relevance on the south coast because of its nitrification inhibitor qualities. You had any questions about that, or any interest from growers?
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan myself, so I'm glad you asked about it. Great. No, I think it's a good thing. So I've got together with Keith Gundle, one of the guys down in Albany, and we went and we've been having a play with it to put a few side-by-side strips out. Mm-hmm. Last spring, we were putting some strips out after silage cut in some high rainfall pastures. We got 30 mils of rain the following day, so it probably wasn't the conditions that were going to show us the true benefit of the product. But I think if we can, one of the biggest conversation points with growers is right. If I put my nitrogen out, I'm going to lose some of it. But it allows us to be able to apply urea and sort of ignore realistically whether there's weather coming in the next 7 days. So the results that we've seen in some of the trial work have been really encouraging. And for guys that, say, dairy farmers or high rainfall beef farmers that are pushing the system with rotational grazing, ryegrass pastures, I think it makes a huge amount of sense. We can just sort of go and logistically apply it when we want to, without worrying if it's going to rain or not. So I think it's a great innovation, and at this stage the price point looks quite reasonable. So that's very encouraging. Yeah.
And you mentioned collaborating there with Keith Gundle, who also is a CSBP account representative on the south coast there. Tell us about the relationship you have with CSBP and how it works from your perspective.
Yeah, no, we've got a good relationship. It's a case of we've all got the same goal in mind, is helping our customers grow quality crops or profitable quality crops. So it's really good to have these guys to bounce ideas back and forth. And I mean, everyone's having daily conversations with customers about soil nutrition, because that's really the basis of everything we do starts in the soil. And we're blessed with, or not really blessed with, pretty poor quality soils on the south coast. So it's part of life. Trying to we're working with guys to develop and hopefully towards a better quality, more healthy soil, especially fun things like blue gums. Reverting country from a blue gum plantation, it's like going back to new land again. So growing up on the farm, I didn't ever get the chance to do much clearing or anything like that. So you get to get a taste of it when they're trying to bring back a paddock of stumps back to productive pasture or crop.
And you've touched on a whole bunch of themes there, and there's clearly a whole bunch of knowledge in your head and in the in the heads of our account management team, or your peers at Elders. One of the things we're really interested in thinking about at CSBP is how do we get all of that knowledge, all of that insight out and make it create value out in the ag industry? How do you see that kind of challenge?
Well, it's the ultimate, isn't it? I mean, the whole industry is about creating good relationships, and I mean with particularly agronomy, where we're effectively extension professionals, and we're trying to turn information into easily understood messages for people. So it's really trying to get the message across and help people, because there's so many different circumstances. I mean, there's growers that are in very different stages of their career, and you've got to understand their whole background to help them make good decisions. And it's not always easy if you're constrained by different things. So. And
you reeled off a whole bunch of, say, new ag chem coming through, and we know there's new fertiliser products also coming through. How do you yourself get up to speed on those so you're able to do that extension? We go to the conferences, you do the trial work, you encourage your growers to trial different things. I've probably been a particular swing across to Macro Pro products this year, because the price differential's been quite narrow. So there's probably quite a few guys having a crack at Macro Pro for the first time, and it's a pretty good handling product compared to some other options, and so you'll find you'll struggle to probably go away from it again. There's things like that. So the circumstances change, and you try something different. And it's a bit like hybrid canola. People start without growing an open pollinated, and then they'll try a little bit, and they go, well, that worked pretty well. And then they'll try a larger chunk, and then in 3 or 4 years' time, they're growing 100% of their program, which is, we've seen quite a large growth in that in the last few years. So. And I guess being at Elders, you might have some line of sight into the national. Elders has a national presence. CSBP, we're very focused on crop nutrition in WA. What are some of the things you see or hear or talk about with your East Coast colleagues?
So we definitely, liquid nitrogen, Flexien, is quite a large. I think our numbers are something like 80% of it is used just in WA. Yeah. So there's I get calls from guys over east and go, they're not as familiar in some cases with some of the mixing and handling if there's an issue with scorch or how you do it. I mean, I try not to mix it with too much stuff. I prefer to just get it drizzled on when it's raining or too windy to do other jobs. But the East Coast market is quite different, a lot more traded product, and but there's still there's areas of more targeted horticulture or tree crops and that which they target specific products into. But I mean, most of my experience is fairly hyper local to the deep south. But it is quite a diverse market, and there's a lot more traded. Stores will take a position in DAP or MAP or urea and then on sell it. So it's quite a different environment to what we do over here as agents, and sort of working closely with you guys to deliver products to clients.
Yeah, I think our perspective certainly is the industry is set up well here to make sure that the supply chain can have a really good forecast and then make sure that the products are available to growers. And I don't know if all growers have the luxury on the East Coast, given the way that market's set up. So I think we have a really nice partnership working together to get those forecasts and make them happen. Feels like it works, not always perfectly, but reasonably well from our perspective.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something we're invested in and definitely want to see continue. So, we think we've got a good partnership and we both have a focus on science. I mean, it's ultimately, and I was actually talking to my dad about this, and obviously used CSBP products on the farm for a long time, and he was always enjoyed the R&D aspect and the science focus to it's more about the economic decision is probably where I see CSBP do very well. And to work out, what's the best decision for the growers to make.
Really glad you mentioned CSBP's trials and research. We're celebrating our centenary of that kind of activity. We did our first trials in 1923, and look, we don't want to make a big deal about it, but we are making a bit of a deal about it, and it's something we're really proud to have worked on in partnership with bodies like Elders over that period of time. Yeah, no, it's interesting because we're coming up on, I think, 180 years of activity in Australia, and the first business started in about 1840 in South Australia with early on wool broking and livestock broking and stuff. But it's Elders has been a big foundation in R&D as well, and there's been a history of philanthropy. So 1922, so it was about when goes cricket. Peter Waite was the actually just retired chairman. He passed away, and he actually gifted a heap of shares and about 90 hectares of land to the Adelaide government and the University of Adelaide, and it kicked off the Waite Institute. So that's now a whole big part of the university situation in South Australia and a large part of the whole research community. So there's been a history of that. Yeah, no, it's just something we feel strongly about, and we want to try and make the best decisions as we can and help people make good decisions. So that's really what it's all about. We're getting to the point of the season where crops are in the ground. Our focus certainly at CSBP turns to thinking about plant sampling and thinking about looking at the trials we've got in the ground and understanding how they're going and running some field walks about them. What happens in your focus in this kind of year? June comes around, and what do you think about the next few months? Yeah, so again, we're looking hard at emerging crops for pests at the moment. Obviously, talking about the discussion around early nitrogen and sulphur and potassium applications, and then the focus will turn to we've got early post-emergent weed control into late post-emergent weed control, trying to balance the need to spray some of the newer products like Materno Complete, and we're doing sulphur-carb post-em very early in the cereal phase, and that kind of came conflict with herbicide applications on canola, which is we've gone from being able to spread weed control out over the whole season to really condensing it into the early part of the season, which is probably working well for us at the moment. But yeah, so we'll get into that, and then as the crop thickens up, we talk about the next fertiliser application, or we start managing risk for the season and how the season unfolds. And I mean, I like to have multiple split applications of nitrogen. That allows us to be able to play the season somewhat. And if you need to go for gold, you can put a cheeky one on the end, a little bit of flexing on with the fungicide spray at flowering of the canola. We get into fungicides and seeing how different pest pressures develop. Aphids. We're looking for mice at the moment as well. So there's it never really ends. So it's an ongoing thing all year. It's a myriad of factors. It never ends. But today, our time together will come to an end. Thanks so much for joining us. You've given us a brilliant insight into what's happening on the South Coast and all the different things you're focusing on at Elders. Thanks, James.
No worries. Thanks, Gray.
Thanks all you out there in CSBP Grow Better podcast world. Remember to subscribe, rate and review the podcast, and jump on our socials at CSBP Fertilisers to keep in touch with what we're up to. But for now, I've been Grey Johnston. Thanks so much, James B. See you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of the CSBP Grow Better podcast. For more information about CSBP, please visit csbp-fertilisers.com.au or connect with us on social media at CSBP Fertilisers on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and LinkedIn.